Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Tuesday, July 22nd, 2022, July 26th, pardon me, 2022 regular meeting of council to order. And before we get into business, I'd really like to welcome Mr. Eric Depenau, Chief Administrative Officer, to his inaugural council meeting. Welcome.
Thank you.
With that, first up on the agenda, 2.1, adoption of this evening's agenda. Councillor Pearson, Councillor G, any additions or deletions, amendments? All in favor? It's carried. Item 3.1, adoption of the minutes of the June 28th, 2022 regular meeting of council meeting. That they be adopted. Councillor MacLean, Councillor G, any errors or omissions arising? All in favor? It's carried. 3.2, adoption of the minutes of the June 14th, 2022 public hearing. Councillor MacLean, Councillor G, any errors or omissions arising? All in favor? It's carried. No delegations this evening. No correspondence for action, so on to the reading file. Is there anything council would like to bring to surface? Councillor MacLean.
The letter from the Ministry of Environment Central Interior Air Zone Report, which points out that although we have done a lot of work and taken a lot of initiatives, most recently just completing the draft plan of our air quality management plan. But they remind us that it takes time for these initiatives to take effect. And Valemount from, I believe it was 2018 to 2020, was still within the red zone, which means subject to the most stringent air quality management actions that there will be. They did also recognize the amount of work that we had done and appreciated it, and assured us in this letter that they will continue to support us with this poor air quality.
Thank you for raising that. Anything else, council? On to administrative reports, 8.1, accounts payable report, June 2022, that it be received. Councillor G, Councillor Pearson, discussion. All in favor of receipt? It's carried. 8.2, building inspector report, April to June 2022, permit values, that the report be received. Councillor Pearson, Councillor MacLean, discussion. All in favor of receipt? It's carried. 8.3, bylaw enforcement summary report, June 22, that the report be received. Councillor MacLean, Councillor G, discussion. All in favor? It's carried. 8.4, municipal regional district tax renewal 2022, that the report be received. Councillor Pearson, Councillor G, discussion. All in favor? It's carried. 8.5, municipal officer appointments, recommendation here that Eric Depenau be appointed as Chief Administrative Officer and Corporate Officer for the Village of Valemount. Councillor MacLean, Councillor G, discussion.
Happy to have him aboard.
You're in it now, buddy.
Happy to be here.
All in favor? It's carried. Congratulations, Mr. Depenau. 8.6, Clean Air Task Force update. A couple recommendations here to consider. Number one, that CAO Eric Depenau be appointed to the Clean Air Task Force. Councillor MacLean, Councillor Pearson, discussion. All in favor? It's carried. That the VCF VIP be permitted to appoint an alternate committee member to attend the CATF meetings in the absence of the VCF VIP manager. Councillor MacLean, Councillor G, discussion. All in favor? It's carried. And number three, that the draft air quality management plan be approved by council. Councillor MacLean, Councillor G, discussion. There's a couple of amendments I wouldn't mind throwing out there. Near the bottom, location. Highway 97 and Fifth Avenue. Should be Highway 5 and Fifth Avenue.
One sec, I'll just get to my.
And just above that, recall citizen scientists. Awesome idea, Clean Air Task Force. There's already pretty healthy trend out there called purple air. Their sensors are all over the place. They're not cheap. I have one, I just bought one. We have it set up at our place. After duty and US dollar conversion, they're 400 Canadian. Something to consider. But given the establishment and the breadth that the purple air community has really exploded, these sensors are everywhere. But I'm huge fan of that idea of getting these set up throughout the village so we can really determine what neighborhoods need the most help. And those are my amendments. If council would accept those, or just the one, the Highway 97. Mover on the amendment, Councillor MacLean, seconded by Councillor Pearson, that Highway 97 be scratched and in place Highway 5. All in favor? The amendment is carried. And on the motion as amended, Councillor MacLean, Councillor G, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you. 8.7, temporary use permit 2207 at 1280 14th Ave. A recommendation here that temporary use permit 2207 for 1280 14th Ave, legally described as Lot 26, District Lot 7355, Caribou District Plan 26762, proposing a temporary residential structure for up to 2 years, be given initial approval. Councillor G, Councillor Pearson, discussion on initial approval. Next up, public hearing. All in favor? It's carried. 8.8, we have remedial action to consider at 955 13th Avenue. Recommendation here that council authorizes staff to deliver a notice to the property owner and each holder of a registered charge via registered mail, which states that all hazard trees must be removed no later than September 2nd, 2022. Should action not be taken by the property owner by this time, council authorizes staff to proceed with remedial action with regards to the fire hazards at 955 13th Avenue, property legally described as Lot 1, District Lot 7355, Caribou District Plan 20929, PID 004423194 at the expense of the property owner as per section 77 and 78 of the community charter. Councillor G, Councillor Pearson, discussion. Questions for staff, comments? Councillor Pearson.
Yeah, just clarifying, so there's a lot of discussion about the burn piles that are in place. When they're talking hazard trees, are we talking standing timber that is a hazard, or are we talking the actual debris that is piled up currently?
All debris that is piled up at this time, no standing trees.
Okay. I usually think more of a hazard tree is something that's going to fall on me, so thank you.
Burn hazard. Further discussion? Comments? All in favor? It's carried. Bylaws and policies, 9.1. Amendments to policy 15, leave of absence. Recommendation here that policy number 15, leave of absence, be approved as amended. Councillor G, Councillor Pearson, discussion. Received some employment standards, legal advice. Thank you, Mr. Lidstone and company. All in favor? It's carried. And 9.2, amendments to policy 81, appointments to the board of directors of village-owned companies. Recommendation here that policy 81, appointments to the board of directors of village-owned companies, be approved as amended. Councillor Pearson, Councillor G, discussion. Have we received feedback from the Inspector of Municipalities?
Not yet, I don't think so.
Okay. All in favor? It's carried. No new business that I can see. Any notices of motion to be brought forward? On to council reports. Councillor G.
I have nothing council related to report.
Fancy. Councillor MacLean.
On Tuesday, July 12th, I had a Columbia Basin Treaty Local Government Committee meeting. There was nothing to report out from that. On July 19th, we had a Clean Air Task Force meeting where we decided to use the leftover funds from the air quality study funded by the Ministry of Energy, Mines and Low Carbon Innovation to develop an air quality webpage on the existing Village of Valemount webpage to keep people informed and up to date on air quality. As well as we previously approved, we completed the draft air quality management program, which will serve as the official roadmap to support local air quality improvement over the next 5 years. And that was it. Thank you.
Awesome. Councillor Pearson.
Okay. So I've got a little bit to report on. July 8th, attended the Trans-Canada Yellowhead Highway Association AGM in Edmonton. This was a hybrid AGM with members and directors from basically McBride to Manitoba attending. So pretty standard format. Started with the outgoing board meeting discussing current items and resolutions to be submitted for the ratification of the AGM. So following lunch, there were recorded messages from Honorable Dan Vendel, the federal minister responsible for Prairies Can, which is a federal ministry that looks at the 3 central prairie provinces and their needs. And also the Honorable Randy Boissonneau, the federal minister of tourism and associate finance minister, were presented and gave messages of support and congratulations as it was the 75th anniversary of the TCYHA. So following this was the award ceremony where I was honored to receive a Builders Award and plaque for my work with the association, and also honored was former councillor here in Valemount, Sandy Salt, who received a Life Member Award for her continued work with the association. After the break, the AGM began with provincial ministry updates. Daryl Gunn, Executive Director for Northern BC Region, presented for BC. Gave updates on last year's projects and upcoming work for this year were listed. One note for our area is an upgrade to the Tijon weigh scales, which will have a weigh in motion system installed, which allows trucks to weigh without stopping. It speeds up traffic and keeps traffic flowing. They allowed a couple questions, so I did ask about if there's any solutions in sight for the West Twin Bridge, which is the bane of my existence in traveling to Prince George, and the semi-permanent 30-kilometer zone at the bottom of 2 steep grades and a curved bridge. Aware of the problem and was going to look into it and get back to me with more information. I did suggest a not cheap but effective solution would be to put a straight bridge across at a little bit higher elevation and take out the grades and the curve, but that may be for another government. 2 separate resolutions were passed referring to upgrades and passing lanes on the portion of Highway 16 between Tijon and the Alberta border. One from the Regional District, Fraser Fort George, and one from Jasper. So it's very, very high on a lot of people's minds just to get some more passing lanes out there. July 11th, the Community Forest Industrial Park Board meeting. Nominations for executive were held, and the executive for the upcoming term will be President Ainsley Jackman, Vice President Gordon Carson, and Treasurer Gerhard Oberauer for both VCF and VIP. Updates on logging operations were given in discussion on looking into a pension fund for VCF employees. We got an update on the mill, which is operational with finishing touches and bugs to work out. Currently employing 3 local workers, looking to hire 2 more soon, which I think may have happened last week or this week. Also, there's 4 contract employees as required. Orders are coming in. 3 loads of timbers have shipped at this time, as well as 3 loads of chips have been sent out, along with 1 load of clean hog fuel, which equates to sawdust. And there's a strong market with local farmers for the sawdust for agricultural use, for bedding, for cattle and such. So industrial park's busy, 13 active leases on the site. And on July 20th, along with Mayor Torgerson, CAO Depenau, and Board Member Junior Sadchuk, had a tour of the mill while in operation led by Manager Craig Pryor. It was good to see the process logs being turned into timbers and everything moving along, so hopefully we see a good future on that. And one last item for Operation Lifesaver. Rail Safety Week for Canada will be, and I hope I got the dates right, September 19th to 23rd. So I'm basically looking for council and staff support for Rail Safety Week with messaging on the electronic signboard on 5th Avenue and possibly magnetic decals supplied by Operation Lifesaver to put on village vehicles for a little bit of awareness. And that's my report.
Thank you very much. Councillor Pearson, motion to receive. Councillor G, Councillor MacLean. Discussion, questions, comments. Oh, I guess I should probably do mine, eh? You asked for it. June 29th, presented the draft Southeast BC Regional Connectivity Strategic Plan to the Regional District Kootenay Boundary Board of Directors. July 1st, took part in Canada Day celebrations, Councillor Pearson, along with a good crowd down at the Sportsplex. Also that day, was invited down to the community classrooms where Plural was giving a presentation. It's a group out of Prince George, quote unquote, through the Northern Lens, and the launch of their book. Very cool art sort of photography presentations throughout. July 4th had a briefing from Columbia Basin Broadband Corp around the UBF funding and where the province was and their conditional funding approvals. July 5th had a CRT socioeconomic performance measures update around the debris management of Kim Basket, as well as there were some questions around year-round transportation and use, particularly just in the dam arm where it typically doesn't freeze. July 5th, later that day, was able to get Mr. Depenau over to the RCMP detachment for an introduction there. July 11th, had an airport expansion meeting with SIMP First Nations Major Projects Coalition, and the municipality of Jasper. First Nations Major Projects Coalition has offered, and we're moving slowly ahead on engaging with Colliers and Associates to give a next steps report for potential expansion of the airport. So 2016, we received a report from Mr. Simmons outlining what we could be doing. Colliers is going to kind of put some financial spins on that. July 12th, had an introduction with Mr. Depenau to Ms. Narian, where we reviewed the housing needs assessment. July 18th, had a Zoom call with the Honorable Minister Bill Blair, Public Safety, and our BC Minister of Municipal Affairs, Nathan Collins, around transportation and basically emergency management, getting to an emergency and running away from an emergency. July 20th, as Councillor Pearson pointed out, had a tour of the VIP specialty mill. And then later that day, a Universal Broadband Fund update with the CIO and Columbia Basin Trust and Columbia Basin Broadband Corp. July 21st had me in Prince George for the day. First meeting was with Joel Mackay, NDIT CEO, followed by Regional District Environment and Parks Committee, Regional Hospital District Board, the open meeting of the Regional District Fraser Fort George, and then I had a true highlight of attending the opening ceremonies for the 2022 BC Summer Games, where we were able to engage with both Tourism, Arts and Culture, Minister Melanie Mark, as well as our MLA Shirley Bond. 22nd, back here for CBT Board, was supposed to be in Golden, got relocated to Cranbrook, so able to attend that virtually both on the 22nd and 23rd. And then followed that up with a discussion on the 25th around our geothermal project with the Columbia Basin Trust. And then just today, we received a provincial heat response update from Ministers Farnworth and Dix. Victoria has letting us know it's going to be warm and what we can do. And one thing I did pick out of that was let's check on each other. There's folks that are without AC, those without internet particularly, so a lot of our messaging may not be getting to those in need. And just check in on your neighbor and particularly in those early evening where temperatures are still soaring inside many homes. And that's my report. Motion to receive. Councillor Pearson, Councillor MacLean, questions on the reports, discussion. I, for one, would like to have council and those present give Councillor Pearson and former Councillor Selt a round of applause for achieving their Builders Award from the Trans-Canada Yellowhead Association.
I'm thinking it's more of a bribe than anything at this point, so.
Who knows, they're a VP person.
Yeah.
It's coming. All in favor of receipt? It's carried. We do have time now for public comment on those items considered by council as part of the approved agenda. And please note, this will be the last opportunity for members of the public to comment at a council meeting until after the general local election. Are there any public comments this evening? No public comments. Then I will ask council to give notice under 15.1 to proceed in camera for consideration of 3 items for section 91C, J, and K of the Community Charter to discuss matters related to C, labor relations and other employee relations, J, information that is prohibited or information that if it were presented in a document would be prohibited from disclosure under section 21 of the Freedom of Information and Privacy Act, and K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are at their preliminary stages and that, in the view of council, could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public. Councillor G, Councillor Pearson, all in favor? It's carried.